Hello and welcome to the Hairdresser Strong Show. We talk with hairstylists from all different backgrounds, hearing their experiences and perspectives about career-defining topics important to rising and transforming hairdressers. I'm your host, Robert Hughes, and this is my guest, Laurent Chauvet. Laurent, will you introduce yourself for us, please?
Yes, hi. As Robert said, I'm Laurent Chauvet. I've been in hairdressing now for almost 27 years. I live in DC. I work at a salon called Salon Stylist. We're located in Georgetown. And I don't know, it's been an interesting journey with this business.
Today, we're talking about hiring, interviewing, and transitioning onto the floor as a rising stylist. Laurent, how long, actually, why don't you just tell us how you got your salon job, your first salon job when you were just in school or out of school?
Well, I got lucky. I got real lucky. I just graduated Sassoons and come back to DC. It was, I got my license, and actually I'd gone to Paris for a little training there and came back. And I was working at my parents' restaurant on New Year's Eve, and my bosses had come in for New Year's Eve dinner, and a couple of their clients were friends of my family. And I told them what I was doing. And they had told the owners about me. So they happened to show up at my restaurant on New Year's Eve after I got back from my education. And they picked me out of the crowd. It wasn't very hard. Looked like a Three Musketeer. I mean, at the time I was going through my pirate phase. And we started talking, and they invited me to come and chat with them in their shop. So a couple of days later, I went in, we talked. They gave me an opportunity to do a few haircuts and just to see if I was at the level that they wanted. So I got my models together, showed up. They liked what they saw, and they offered me a job.
So they walk into your restaurant. So when you say restaurant, everybody who doesn't know Laurent, he grew up in Adams Morgan, Washington, D.C., on top of a restaurant. His parents ran a French restaurant. How long did they run it for?
About 40 years.
40 years. They got a little commemorative plaque or like
we actually have a day,
right?
We actually have a La Fourchette day.
All right, there you go. So Ryan growing up on this restaurant, goes to Val Sassoon in Santa Monica, comes back, and that's when the owners came in and they saw you.
Well, I got to Paris to train for a little bit. Then they came back for holidays. They ran into me at the salon, or at the restaurant, and said I should come by and audition.
Okay.
And so I came by.
So they heard about you. They came by. They had you come in and audition. All right. Now start from there. Tell us about that. Like, what did they want to see? How many models did you end up doing, et cetera?
I ended up doing just 2 models because I was just auditioning for the stylist position. Colorist wasn't my thing, more into cutting and styling. And so they wanted me to bring in 2 models, something mid-length and something short, to see what I could do. So I brought in my 2 ladies. They were very happy. So they offered me the job.
Nice. And were these friends of yours that you cut their hair, the models?
One was the vice principal of my grade school who I ran into.
Okay.
And another one was a friend of mine.
Okay. So you did did a little bit of that old school, go out and talk to people thing.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. Yeah. I mean, it's what we do for a living. So you got to just kind of go out there.
Totally.
I didn't want to bring in a couple of young friends who had already, I was already cutting, and I just wanted to do something different.
Yeah. So that's cool. Okay. So you get the job and you start off as an assistant, apprentice, stylist. How did you start off?
As an apprentice assistant, pretty much jack of all trades.
Okay.
It's one thing I wish I would have asked some more questions about the job. I was so happy to get a job. I didn't ask too many questions. So I was pretty much to do the Guy Friday, anything that needed to be done. If I would go make bank runs, I would shampoo hair, I would blow dry hair, I would hold foils, I would give people lunches. There was no job that I thought I shouldn't do. I did everything that they asked. The only thing is I didn't get the education structure that I probably should have.
Okay. All right. So did you have a conversation with them about education during the application process?
No. And that was one of the
Okay.
big mistakes I made. You know, I just
Okay.
figured I would go in and they would educate me.
Yeah.
So it's something I will say to up and comings, you know, if you're coming out of school, is to ask your future bosses what their procedure is for education. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be a formal, you know, for me, I wouldn't have cared if it was every twice a week for 6 months. I was happy with just something,
Yeah.
some kind of structure.
Right.
And I didn't quite get that.
Okay. All right. So that's good. I think you're not alone on that. And I think that's really good advice to ask for details. Let's see. So tell us about how much training did you like? What was the training like? Did they have classes? Were you mostly shadowing? Did they send you away for classes? The combination, frequency, even though you didn't, you say there, it sounds like you're saying there wasn't a lot of structure, but give us an idea of what exactly it was.
So there was no classes.
Okay.
It was more me just shadowing people.
Okay.
But I came into a salon that was extremely busy and big. I mean, at the time there was like 11 stylists and 4 colorists. So I was running around all over the place. I did have one guy named Kent, who took me under his wing in the beginning. Would explain things to me, talk to me while he was doing hair. He and I would have conversations about what he was doing, as long as more during the blow dry, because he was engaging with his clients. But it wasn't an atmosphere in our shop where education was paramount. And
Okay.
we were so busy that no one really wanted to stay after. The bosses didn't seem, at the time, all they cared about was, it's in, we're busy, let's go. I got lucky. I do learn a lot by watching. So, and everybody was really cool with me standing next to them. And, if I had a question, I would ask, they'd answer it. But I felt I really should have. I mean, I didn't know. I was young. I was, 20 years old.
Right.
I really should have learned that it's okay to ask those questions before you get started, or to actually,
that's so good.
Not demand, but request education.
Yeah. And don't be like discouraged if the hairdresser is running behind, has a bad day, and they give you attitude. Keep asking questions.
Absolutely. And talk to them after work. Like,
Okay.
try to build a relationship, because Kent and I, we had
That's
a relationship. He was an older gentleman, but I would ask him questions, and after work, he had no problems answering them. And that's where our friendship started to begin.
Okay.
And the sad part was he ended up passing away when I was just getting started. So I didn't get as much out of him as I could have. But he's one of the ones that lit my fire a little bit and had me going.
Okay.
And it's something that we forget a lot in this business. Is asking those questions for the older stylists.
Absolutely.
I mean, I did my best when I graduated to help the other ones, because I didn't want people to have to go through it, what I did.
Yeah.
But I did get to learn every aspect of the job. Since I had to do everything, I know how to shampoo extremely well.
Right.
All the blow dries. I talk to clients. I cover the front desk. I had to learn the front desk, all that work. So it's good to learn everything. Don't just go and say, I'm just going to stand behind this guy and that's it. Learn every bit of your business.
Yeah.
That's how you understand the business.
Well, I was actually going to say, if you choose to be a prima donna and you want to only, do one thing, I mean, that's your prerogative. But if you ever want to do more than that, then you're going to be so far behind, and because you're going to have to learn all that stuff later in life. When you're younger and you're in the training space, your mind is used to learning and gaining new information, so it's still malleable. It can still take in information. Once things start to solidify, it's even harder to go back and learn something later in life. There's studies on that. So it's like, why not put yourself in a position to learn everything, the front of the house, the back of the house, and your craft.
Oh yeah. And even inside your craft, learning more. I mean,
Amen.
Again, I made the mistakes of, I wasn't comfortable putting hair up, and they never asked me to. They never showed me. So I never asked to be shown. And that was one of my biggest mistakes, because even now I'm finding myself struggling to do some of this newer stuff. And it's not that I can't, I'm just out of practice. I just don't have the muscle memory.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's something a lot of young people don't understand when they get into business. It's easy to ask questions when you're 20.
Right.
When you're 40,
it is.
It is.
Everybody wants to tell you how to do things.
Yeah, but when you're 40, you don't want to be that guy going, "Well, I don't want. I should already know this," because you should.
Yeah,
but you put yourself in an awkward position, even though everybody's cool with it. Mentally, it feels weird.
Yeah. So tell us about the. How long were you an apprentice assistant for?
So I apprenticed roughly 9 to 10 months.
Okay. So you got it in under a year. You got to move on to the floor.
I mean, my blow drying was on par. I mean, that was the big thing at the shop. And we had a few stylists who liked to overbook and didn't like to do blow dry. So I got real good at it and real fast.
Nice.
And, I got lucky. The holidays came along and they needed me on the floor, and I was confident enough to do it. And that's how I got started.
Nice.
And I will say, if you're a young stylist, the one thing you're going to want to do is the kids. When you're an apprentice, nobody wants to do children, do the kids.
Yeah.
Because 5 years down the road, they're teenagers. They're the ones you're going to get to do all the cool shit on.
That's so good. Everybody hear that? Don't turn away kids. They're not like, they might be a pain. They might squirm a little. First of all, one thing you didn't even say is, if you can do a dope haircut on a kid that moves a lot, imagine if you get them to stay still. And then to your point, later on, as time goes on, you got to have the long view, because then they're going to be super loyal to you.
Dude, I've got a young girl young girl now. She's 27. I started cutting her hair when she was 5.
Oh, wow.
And she only comes to me, and she's young and fun. And when she comes in, I always take pictures.
Nice.
And that's who you want to have.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a 2-3-year-old's a pain in the butt, but it's no different than some of these adults on their phones. So I'd rather sometimes do a kid than a negative Nancy.
So did you experience any different treatment when you went from assistant to stylist? Was it a pretty smooth transition, or was there some growing pains there?
There's always growing pains.
Okay.
One with your clients, first of all, because they see you as an apprentice. All you're doing is sweeping floors and blow drying hair, and now they're going to sit in your chair, so they're a little apprehensive. Even if they like you, they know you're new.
Yeah.
Then you also have, you do have stylists who are going to throw you shade because they're maybe only 3 or 4 years ahead of you, and they're a little nervous that you might be taking some of their thunder and some of their clients or whatever. So you will get that. I have a unique situation. I've been at the same salon for 27 years.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So it's unheard of in our business.
Yeah.
The bonus to the good side of that is I know everybody that comes in that shop. I know them all. And so everybody's comfortable with me. The downside, we didn't switch a lot of stylists. So I saw the same people all the time. If you work in a shop where maybe you rotate 4 or 5 stylists out all the time, you get to see new ideas and new ways of addressing hair.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I used to do a lot of shows just to see something different.
Okay.
But
how did you get on the show though? Was that through the salon or was that through something else?
Well, sometimes when I was doing some work for L'Oreal, they reached out to the salon and asked if we had anybody that was interested.
Okay.
And I will say this to all you up and coming apprentices: if you can get onto any kind of work like that, maybe your salon does not affiliate with a big company, you can reach out to L'Oreal, you can reach out to Wella and those little companies and go and do, you can even do Fashion Week. If you reach out to hairstylists, they're always looking for assistants. That's how you're going to learn. You're going to learn so much more doing 1 week in Fashion Week than you will trying to do wedding season at the salon.
Totally. Well, if anybody has any questions about how to go that route with the photo shoot or fashion show, you just can hit up Laurent, and he'll like give you a little pointers, point you in the right direction, maybe give you some ideas. You can also reach out to me, and I can introduce you to Laurent. Um, before we wrap up here, I wanted to get, oh, I got a question on here I didn't ask. Were you scared of anything when you went out onto the floor? What was your biggest fear? I like this question.
Um,
I know mine is.
my,
Was.
I mean, there's always a couple. There's always a
Okay.
couple. I mean, you're always scared of cutting somebody. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, that's the number one is clicking somebody's ear. Okay, that's a big one. I don't know. I mean, I'm not too afraid of this, but I know people are. Is inappropriate conversations.
Okay. All
You
right.
got to be careful what you say, because you and your client are cool, but the people
Right.
next to you, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, for me, was taking my biggest fear, I think, for cutting specifically, was cutting long curly hair short.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Because when it's down to here, it's one thing. When it's here,
Yeah.
it's completely different. And curly hair is difficult enough as it is.
Right.
But if you're with that big transition, you take 10 inches off, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's more like 20.
And it's not the shape you cut.
Right. All right. What is one piece of advice for the rising stylist who is already working at a salon as an apprentice, getting ready to transition onto the floor? So they've already got a job. They're thinking about they're in an apprenticeship program, and they're looking at transitioning. Do you have any words of advice for that to be successful?
Be confident in yourself. You've gotten this far, but believe that you're going to keep growing. And it's okay to have a hiccup or two, but make sure you have a strong support system in your shop. Don't be afraid
Nice.
to talk to the senior level or your bosses. That's what's going to make you more comfortable on the floor. And if there's
Gotcha.
an issue, you're friends with them. You can go, you can ask, and it gets sorted.
That's good. Good. Find your go-to and your support system within your salon. That's
Yeah.
good. And if you can't find one of those, what do you recommend? Maybe should they find somewhere else to work, or is there anything else? What if they're just not vibing with anybody, but they don't necessarily get, some people can be loners.
You can be by yourself in a crowded salon and do fine.
Yeah.
As long as, it depends on how much self-confidence you have.
Yeah.
And if you need help, reach out to the community.
Okay. That's good.
It doesn't have to be in your shop. You can reach out to Robert. You can reach out to me. I've always had an open door policy when it comes to young stylists or even old stylists in general. If people want to reach out and chat and talk, I got no problems. And there's nothing I've done that I keep a secret in our business. I've been through it all. I've had my issues. I've had ups and downs and done a lot of stupid stuff, and a lot of great things have come out of it.
Nice.
So,
all right. Well, you heard it here first. If you, one of the things that you should really consider is finding somebody to be your support system within your salon, preferably. And if you don't have anybody like that, you should still have somebody for support. And that means perhaps reaching out to somebody. You can start off by reaching out to Laurent. He's more than happy to let you, shoot the shit with you, so to speak, and bounce ideas around. I'm also willing, so you can hit me up. I like that. That's awesome. Thanks for volunteering. Let me know if your DM blows up.
That's not a problem.
All right. So at the end of every interview, I like to wrap up with a laugh by asking you to share your most embarrassing moment behind the chair or with a client in the salon.
There's a couple. There's a couple. I just don't know how appropriate some of them are.
I mean, I have to check a box when I put these up that it has explicit language in it. So
it's not so much explicit. I guess I was doing the hair of a woman of advanced age.
Okay.
And I was younger, and I was wearing very loose fitting clothes, and it was one of my non-underwear days. And I was on her side cutting the side, and her elbow goes out and up off the arm.
On purpose?
Yes, and I didn't know
Oh
what
my
to
gosh.
do. I didn't know what to, like, do I pull back or do I not? And so I'm sitting there. But then, I'm 20 something years old. She wasn't bad looking. So I'm like, okay, oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that was awesome. Thanks for sharing. And thanks again for contributing to this talk. I think a lot of people get a lot of value out of these conversations. And I look forward to having you back on the show.
Hey, anytime, Robert. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much. See you later.
All right. Ciao.